Welcome to The Relevance of Now with William Linville. My name is Michael Connell. I'll be your host here today. Hey, William.
Well, how's it going, buddy? What's shaking?
The vibrations are shaking through the body. When we were talking about what's presenting to your clients recently, you shared about clients are asking for divine guidance, divine opportunity for their higher levels and higher realms to provide opportunities. And yet at the same time, they're sharing with you their questioning of what's being presented to them. And they're having a little trouble following through on trusting the guidance that's coming through them. Ideas are coming to them, action, do this type of actions are coming to them, and they're having difficulty trusting them. And then we expanded that to that our higher levels are really assisting us with wisdom, and there's divine alignment and divine timing into what is being presented to us, our true self talking through us. And can you talk a little bit more about how our higher levels are speaking through us? That if we're taking the action, if we're taking the steps of what's being presented to us, there is a whole divine alignment and divine timing to it.
So, first and foremost, when you wake up in the morning and you're opening up your peepers and you're sharing to the whole universe, your higher levels, your creator levels, your manifest levels, that, hey, let the day present and let it unfold for my highest, best good and highest, best good of all concern. And we just put it out there because the one you're really talking to is a higher vibrational frequencies called your creator consciousness. You're saying, I, as creator, command this day to unfold as quickly as I can handle for my highest and best good, as well with the most enjoyment, entertainment, explorations as well. So, to use one day specifically, I got up in the morning, I got a cup of coffee, and then I received this thought that says, Will, why don't we go to Costco? And I said, all right, hey, sounds great. And I made a list, and the only thing on the list was organic bananas. So I was like, all right, we'll see. We'll do a 20-minute trip to drive to Costco. We'll go into Costco, get organic bananas, and pay, and then be on route home. So cognitively speaking, analytically speaking, I could have gone to Whole Foods, which is maybe 10 minutes away, went in, bought organic bananas, and drove home. But no, that wasn't presenting. What was presenting is, well, why don't we go to Costco, my favorite toy store on the whole planet? And so I went and I arrived. I went inside, got my basket, showed my card, went inside and found some really nice green organic bananas. And then I went up to the register. And lo and behold, I started paying. And I looked over to my right, and there was the newscaster from Channel 3. Now, I paid, put everything in the basket, on and on. And then I went over and said, hey, I really enjoy your segment and it's really nice to meet you. And then you would have thought like I brought, I don't know, a Big Mac or the biggest Caesar salad ever to her. And she was starving because the way she lit up was just astronomical. And was I there just to light her up? Well, it's not all about assistance. Everything you do is assisting one way, shape, or the other. Even use your body as a conduit. But it was so interesting how she lit up like it was an oasis in the desert. We communicated for a few moments, and then I wished her a wonderful day. And I made my way out to the car. Now, oddly enough, I got in the car. I started to back out and on and on. And sure enough, there she is right in front of me again, in front of my car vehicle, getting into her car vehicle. So it's just such an interesting divine timing, divine alignment, call it synchronistic events, on and on and on. Just because I went with the ideal that was presented to me from the rest of me and from the angelic, archangelic ascended host realms that said, why don't we go to Costco? Something entertaining and something to have fun with. And then this has happened time after time after time. Like when I facilitated my first speaking event ever, I received the call and was invited to go to Las Vegas and do a speaking event. And I was saying to myself, well, who knows what I'm going to talk about? I have no clue. Because at that time, I still had my own company, High Integrity Massage, which I was doing one on ones all over California, parts of Arizona, on and on and on. Well, lo and behold, I said, sure. And it's before I even contemplated it because I share with the rest of myself, the whole universe, hey, you open the doors, I will walk through. That's my commitment to the whole universe. So this door presented an invitation from someone I had never met. And so, okay, great. I guess we're going to Las Vegas. And sure enough, it was a little bit odd or awkward because I'd never done a speaking event before. And it was interesting because I sat down, I was handed the mic, and then, all right, Beacons, you brought me here, let's go. And then everything flowed. Now, I could have definitely said, thank you, but no thank you. I could have said, well, I have no idea what a speaking engagement is, or even when someone presented to say, you have to have a website, I was like, all right, I don't know what it is, but so be it. And by going with it, here comes this beautiful angelic being into where I was speaking. And it was so interesting because she had no idea why she was there. She just knew that a friend of hers had said, you've got to come see this being. And she was saying, well, there's other things I can do and blah, blah, blah. She had loans to close and all that as far as being a loan officer, but she trusted her guidance. She went with, all right, there's the door. I'll walk through it. And sure enough, we got married about a year later because
Right.
it ended up being my angel. Now she had no idea why she was there. She started to leave afterwards, and this other dear one said, why don't you come in the back and have a cigarette with me? And she said, okay. And so she went in the backyard, and oddly enough, there I was taking a break over in the corner by the Buddha statue. And that's where we actually connected. Now, can you imagine for a moment if she said, yeah, not happening. I think I'm going to go work on getting all the paperwork to close this loan, on and on. Or, but say she decided, yeah, I'm thinking I'll go get my hair done for the morning, whatever it may be. And it was so interesting because she went with what she was presented with.
Right.
She had no idea why she was going. She had no idea what this friend of hers was talking about. So look at all the divine timing, divine alignments. I was still located in San Diego, California. I went for what was supposed to be a weekend and about 4 or 5 days of doing one on ones. But sure enough, oddly enough, I came and I never left. But can you imagine if I said, yeah, never done that before. Yeah, just not feeling it, not in blah, 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 blah. What a bummer it would be. Now, others will say, well, she would have found you anyways, on and on and on. Maybe after we both leave the planet, maybe 20, 30, 50 years from now, maybe. But it wasn't about she'll become a part of your path later on, because that doesn't really exist. It was showing up with the doorway that was presented right there, and where there was a thought form that presented, well, would even before this call, would you like to start going on the road more?
Right.
Like out from San Diego, LA, north and Palm Springs, Arizona, to really being able to go further, faster, but also I'll call it more and more direct.
You had mentioned that you share to your higher levels, higher aspects of yourself to open the doors and you'll walk through them. That's your commitment.
to the whole universe.
Right. And I think that's a practice that I've taken on as well from the standpoint of aspects of myself know exactly what I love for me uniquely. And those aspects of myself at a higher level of frequency, can you talk about how these higher levels of myself or yourself create this divine alignment?
Yeah, because you get to a point. I mean, I honor everyone. I love everyone dearly. I honor, respect, and acknowledge them as creator incarnate. Now, some have still been a little bit stuck, which is a part at times of the pathway of waking up. So there, unfortunately, some get stuck with laws of attraction. Some get stuck and kind of like going through circles with deliberate creating. Some get kind of stuck with death and deterioration. And I say stuck like the ego kicks in and they perceive, I'm awake and this is all there is. So now I'm going to recreate my life and hey, more power to you and great job. But then we have to kind of honor a lot of that is still for oneself. You're still kind of playing in kindergarten in comparison to the rest of yourself. It's great when you're starting to wake up from the mind. It's great when you're starting to wake up to see that you as creator actually have power over your creations.
Yes.
Now that's awesome. And that is a wonderful, wonderful place to begin, a place to wake up, a place to realize. But then we go beyond it. And we go into what I would say, you reach a point where we sit here, try to manifest, blah, 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 or manifest, but then you get to a point eventually where you kind of run out of things that you would want to create. And then that's where we kind of graduate from all that and we start putting it forth with your manifest levels, your creator levels, your creator consciousness. Now I'm at a point where, I just really want to know what I want,
Right.
which is so awesome because when my bride showed up at the event on and on, I promise you, probably a week, even a year before, that would have, for myself, be out of the question, not happening. I just wasn't interested. But you see, the thing is when she presented, it wasn't about male, female, it wasn't about copulation, procreating. It was that love through the heart that expanded that much more huger.
Right.
And a year prior, I just kind of assumed, okay, well, I'm gonna be celibate. I had no problem with it because I was healthy, whole, and complete within myself. So it didn't matter if I went celibate, didn't matter if I ever had a relationship again, or not even again, but ever. But it was so interesting how it all unfolded right through the heart, where where there was not even that denial. And the assumption got tossed out the window because I had never felt something so beautiful nor powerful and passionate with another. Now, I've been presented and walked around La Jolla with all the dating meeting games, all the okay, as long as you can tell me what I want to hear, when I want to hear it, on and on, then we can come together and express much clearer reactions with one another in the physical, which to me sounded like a lot of party favors and really, really boring and totally unfulfilling. Until, of course, my angel presented, where it was just, it's kind of like the Grinch, right? My heart just grew 10 times more. And it makes me chuckle. But then I'll receive another ideal. Okay, well, do you wish to propose? And I was like, well, what the heck does that mean? And then oddly enough, I came downstairs after my next appointment that I was having a one-on-one with. And oddly enough, a specialty jeweler was downstairs. So on my break, I created a ring, drew a picture of it, decided on how many carats, blah, blah, blah. And all right, he wrote him a check. He went back to California somewhere, like I think around LA or something. He created it and then he brought it back. So it was interesting, right? Talk about once again, the thought came from the ethers. I had no idea what proposing meant. I thought it was like another proposition.
When you say that from the ethers, is it also from the higher aspects of yourself?
Totally.
Okay.
Also from, it looked like Sananda, Germain, the Buddha, the Krishna, the Divine Mother, and the Kuan Yin and the Magdalena. It was interesting because something I never even contemplated. But yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, bring it on. Let's go. Our journey was just beginning. It's always just beginning because we're still on our honeymoon after 18 plus years.
Right.
And you were there, Mike, at the wedding. And it's like one thing unfolded, another thing unfolded, another thing unfolded. But it was something cognitively, analytically, besides reading fairy tale books on and on and on, that I didn't even know that amount of love was possible or available,
Right.
especially with another.
Yeah. Well, this brings up, so much that even when I wasn't as aware of these higher aspects of myself, and I think that might have been the case for Mary as well at the time, that she had many reasons why she didn't want to go. And it's not something I remember her saying, like, she never goes to things like that.
Exactly.
So there was resistance, 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 but the higher aspects of herself just were strong enough to get her there.
You know what was so interesting, Mike? So comical. She sat there and her eyes were beaming as all the other dear ones in the room. But the thing that I found humorous is that cognitively, she had absolutely no idea what I was talking about.
Right.
Now, I want to put that where it belongs. That belongs to the mind. It belongs to the emotional calibration lattice work. It belongs to the conscious mind, subconscious. But the most important facet was the love that she felt,
Right.
and myself included. So it didn't matter if she started talking about the stock market and the other side of Hungary. To me, it didn't matter. It wasn't, the topics really didn't matter. What mattered was the love was coming from me, and then also the love that was coming through her that supersedes all the cause core reckoning effect of any sort of dialogue. And I would have to say, although she had no idea laws of attraction, laws of distraction, deliberate creating, on and on, I have to honestly say, and I don't say this prejudice, I say it honestly and literally, she was the most advanced being in that room
Right.
because of how huge her heart was. Not all this garbled intellectual nonsense.
Well, this whole concept of divine timing and divine alignment, and reminding ourselves that this all exists for all of us, whether we're aware of it or not. And
Exactly.
as you're assisting people and encouraging people to ask their higher levels to provide them the things they would love. I also like when you share, like, it's higher aspects of myself, not just separate higher levels of higher aspects of myself are constantly wanting to present to me things that I would love. And so, what this topic is about is trusting when we're being presented with thoughts, ideals, and we're asking to be provided with opportunities and things we love, that there's a wisdom and a trust, even if there's mental resistance from our beliefs and judgments.
Absolutely.
There's a wisdom to be trusting what we are getting so we can experience this divine timing and alignment.
Totally, thoroughly, and completely. And you look at the past, you look at everything you've seen, everything you've read about, you look at all this stuff that you've decided to be possible or not possible. If whether it's your intimate loving relationship with the heart, whether it be an emotional relationship, which many get confused when they start welcoming that in, because it just means I'm going to push your buttons, you're going to push my buttons, and we're going to I don't know, turn our relationship into some kind of seminar. And now from here, it's interesting how would have I have, based in everything I just shared, from walking around the streets on a Friday night by the art galleries where I was watching all these dear ones say this, say that, all for the goal of a muscular reaction and the dominance over another's physicality, which has nothing to do with love. That's all carnality stuff. But then I never experienced the love with another through the heart. I mean, I know how I
Right.
felt from a healthy, whole, and complete state. But my point here, Michael, is that how would I have ever known this was even possible or available until I said, okay, well, I'm not interested in relationships. I'm not interested in dating, on and on. And because it just, to me, it just seemed like a waste and all this carnality stuff until that occurred after I said, okay, I want to know what I want. And this is the cool part because it goes beyond space and time right now. It goes beyond anything and everything you've ever experienced in a body on a planet right now, where you say, I want to know what I want. And then things start moving, things start happening. Was it about the money? Yeah, wasn't about money. Was it about prestige? No, I don't play that game. So nothing was about prestige. So there was nothing literally for ego to grasp onto. There wasn't anything at all for it to bite into, chew on, and get caught into a cyclical cycle, which allowed for my beautiful benevolent angel to present. Now, because I didn't have an attachment, I wasn't playing in the solar plexus down. I was playing more from the heart level up and purifying all the carnal levels, purifying them and divinitizing them to where no hidden agendas, no, I have to take advantage of everybody, blah, 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 blah. None of that stuff existed. So it's interesting because now we're going beyond past, present, and future. Now we're going into your presence of what is now makes your heart sing. Like many are looking for their passion. Well, how about we quit looking and start welcoming it in? Because now you're going to
Right.
walk and make the same agreement, if you will. My agreement with the whole universe is to show up when the doors present.
And uh, that concept of these higher aspects of ourselves may be new for people. I know when all of this was new for me, I'm grateful that I just kept exploring it because my mind just couldn't understand it
Yeah,
and was judging it. So really there's just when something feels right like this is really an opportunity to explore what it means by a higher frequency of ourselves and higher
yeah,
levels of ourselves and what it means by the relevance of now. And so
yeah,
we can receive the guidance, the clearer guidance, because in our presence, in the present moment of time, is the only time for the. I always feel like our higher levels are trying to push in if we're not, even if we're not
exactly.
in the relevance of now. And I feel like that's happened to me a number of times. We're like, no, go. Or
Yeah,
there's just something like I can remember when after my body was really ill and my body was feeling bad. Just was feeling low vibration, bad. My body was hurting. And, but I was asking, at that time, I was asking, I was like, I realized that I wasn't in charge, but I didn't know what that meant.
hmm,
But I realized that my thoughts weren't in charge because I got sick.
exactly.
So I had that first realization. And so then when this opportunity presented to go to this book presentation, I didn't want to go. I mean, I really this, I wasn't, my body was not feeling well. I was tired, exhausted, but my higher levels pushed in, even though I had
Uh-huh.
no clue about what the relevance of now was. They pushed through, got me there. And that was like a gigantic stepping stone to opening up to my higher self. Just that one meeting.
Yeah. And it was that push from you that says, we're going.
Right. And so this concept of trusting what's presenting to us more, like pausing, feeling, I don't know why I'm doing this, but it feels right. So I'm doing it.
Yeah. And then where you took your body there, and then everything started happening.
Right. And there's so many things that, you know, that I'm seeing now and feeling now and experiencing now. And what you're sharing is that higher aspects of ourselves, higher frequency aspects of ourselves that we have the opportunity to feel in this lifetime are providing us this divine timing, divine alignment, divine opportunities, whether we know it or not. And what I hear you saying is you're really encouraging us to trust what's presenting to us and walk through the door.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond like you're in a classroom and you're here to learn, blah, blah, blah. Well, actually, you're here to wake up. You're here to embody you as your higher levels. Your body's vibrating at maybe 75,000 megahertz per second, all the way to 300,000 megahertz per second, 800 megahertz per second, bringing up all this gunk, not to relive it, but to say goodbye, 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 become aware, even more aware of you as creator, like even from a clear slate. You commanded to where you would animate through the bodies of animals to see what it was like to actually have a physical being, some sort of physical being that you could animate through. Now we're here. We're animating through the physicality, but now we're also saying, okay, you know what? Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye to all of the colorful perceivable identities. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye to all the perceivable old decisions, old judgments, old clutter. And you just don't one day sit down and start judging everything. It's loaded with all this emotion that you commanded this to be so. So what happens? It's kind of like a dam. The emotions build and build and build until eventually you have an emotional breakdown because you're holding on so tight. Then you poof, you start to wake up without letting any of those internalized identities have any power anymore. And you start to ask yourself one of the most important questions there is, which is, who am I? Why do I
Right.
do what I do? Now, common sense from mine says, well, you got to go to work, you got to earn money, pay for the bills, and then we'll go to work tomorrow, earn money, keep paying for the bills. Well, that's kind of a trap of a cyclical cycle. So let's ask ourselves for a moment, who am I? And, how do I feel about a 9 to 5? How do I feel? And what is it that, that I would enjoy each and every morning? We'll wake up. Okay, are we going to go to the 9 to 5, or are we going to go over here? Are we going to go over there? Or at least waking up to the point where you can actually start to see, feel, and discern what it is you would love to enjoy. Let's skip passion and all that. Passion takes a life on within and through itself. Passion happens when you're moving.
Right.
I'm not asking for you to quit your 9 to 5, but I'm asking you to come to terms with wake up to. Is it, do you own the home, and or does the work own you? Because if any of this is affecting how you feel, something's out of sync. We would go back to, okay, well, I got to work, I got to pay bills. Well, no, you don't. You don't got to do anything. You don't even have to breathe if you don't want. So let's go ahead and let those chains start to break down to where you become more receptive to these thought forms coming from the rest of yourself and ideals to where they can start flooding through more and more. We can call it creativity. We can call it any cliche we want to call it, verb, adverb, noun, or we can just really step back, take a breath, and do a systems check. Am I enjoying what I'm doing right now? And then family, entourage, which I want to be clear, higher levels, that's still a higher vibratory facet of yourself. Your entourage are comprised of the angelic, archangelic, ascended host realms, and they're sitting literally below you, lifting you up. They don't want you to look up to them, they want to walk side by side. So now, where we get more and more in sync with letting yourself open up for more and more of those communions, those connections, including the heart level, the throat level, third eye level, amygdala, and everything else through the body to start vibrating faster and faster to where you just become clearer, 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 and more receptive within yourself and through yourself with so much more ease and grace.
Mm, beautiful, William. So thank you for sharing, encouraging us to really trust what's being presented to us and walk through the doorway so we can experience so much more.
With ease and grace.
Thank you all for joining us. This is The Relevance of Now with William Linville. Please click subscribe. Join us next time. Namaste.
Namaste.